I'm joined today by Colin, who's the Senior Vice President with EllisDon Facility Services, and by Jolene McLaughlin, who's Director of Corporate Responsibility at EllisDon. We're particularly interested in EllisDon because it seems to us they've got two pieces of the puzzle, the low carbon puzzle covered with as a major constructor of new facilities and getting those right, and as an operator of a growing number of existing facilities, making sure that the concepts of low carbon are built into day-to-day operations. So if we build them right and we run them right, our sense is that's going to work particularly well. So we're especially interested in, therefore, how some of your contracts and some of your client customer demands are adapting in there, and how your business is envisaging the low carbon future and adapting to your role in how that all takes place. So let me begin with you, Colin, by tell us a little bit about yourself and the roles you play and the values you bring to your particular responsibilities there.
So thank you, Ian. My job at EDFS is to support our team of over 500 employees across the country who not only operate and maintain facilities, but also are working to optimize them. So in the context of sustainability, a lot of my focus is on ensuring that from the advisory teams and support teams at our corporate head office down to the frontline maintenance technicians, that they keep sustainability and efficiency at the forefront of everything they do.
That's very helpful to set the ground for this. And Jolene, tell us at the corporate level, your role, your responsibilities, your philosophy that you're bringing into how this is all evolving for EllisDon.
Yeah, so my role is really to help support all of our business units, including EllisDon Facility Services and the construction arm, in working towards more sustainable practices. We've had a dedicated sustainability team since 2006 and supported largely our construction arm in the certification processes through LEED and other certifications. But now we're looking more broadly as the requirements around sustainability have changed. We're looking a lot more broadly to see how we can support climate change and climate reactions. And so we've set goals for the company in order to meet climate targets and in line with the science. And we're also working on establishing our own accounting practices so we understand the emissions intensity of our actions, and then work with each of our business units and each of our project partners to reduce those ultimately.
Great. So let's begin with your clients and your markets and the world that you respond to on a day-to-day basis. How have you seen, and I'd like to start with you, Jolene, with this one at the corporate level, and then get Colin's perceptions from the facility services end. How have you seen the requirements, the questions, the concerns, the demands of your customers evolving due to climate change? Are you seeing much change? Are people aware? How are their expectations changing for you, Jolene?
I think since at least 2018, there's been like an exponential increase in questions around sustainability and a functional change in how those questions are asked. Traditionally, it's been LEED as the certification tool to make sure that all the practices are in place and the project is designed to meet overall sustainability targets. But we're also seeing increased pressure around those climate commitments and those climate reductions. And so a number of our clients are asking us to support embodied carbon reductions in all of their materials. We've seen an exponential increase in the number of projects going for like a net zero certification and others. In the P3 market, that's been particularly clear. And many of our P3 jobs are asking not only for LEED certification, but also have an operational energy target that we have to maintain for the 30-year operational life, and sometimes even without that operational contract. And now in addition to that, they're also asking for a carbon target that falls in line as well. The newest piece that's been coming up is also climate resilience, how those projects can react and sustain what we know is likely to come for some of these weather-related events. And so it is a pretty big shift that we're seeing across the entire business.
Interesting. Colin, at the facility services end, again, so this is the day-to-day running of things. What kind of requirements, expectations, things you may not have expected? What is coming down the pipe around climate change for you guys?
Yeah, I think we're seeing, similar to the new projects on the existing projects, a lot of our work is in healthcare, large scale healthcare and performance-based contracts that manage over 30 years. And we're seeing the clients looking for beyond what the performance requirement dictated in the original project agreement. How do we leverage our life cycle funding that we have that's been ring fenced for the hospital to reduce carbon, to reduce energy, to help meet with some of their sustainability goals. So we're seeing a lot more interaction and partnerships with our clients around P3 projects specifically. Because a lot of the older projects that were Jolene said, 2018, this really hit the forefront, but we have some projects that were developed pre-2018. So the project agreements hadn't got to that sustainability goals. And then in addition to that, outside of the P3 market, we're seeing our clients, some clients reaching out to us as EllisDon to say, okay, you have this experience in P3, help me to manage on my existing facility to meet the goals that I have for sustainability.
Good to hear that the market is beginning to press for change around climate change, because that's when things really happen. In that space, Colin, how are you evolving? How are the services that EDFS provides? How are they adjusting to these new demands? Like, what does your world look like now and going forward?
I think we operate these facilities, some of the facilities, for 30 years, and it's gone beyond just facility management. We're taking a look, like we've got Jolene obviously at the corporate level. We have internally within EDFS some corporate head office support to look at sustainability and how do we manage that on our existing contracts, again within the contract, but driving to help our clients. I think we've become more, or our advisory side of the business has grown significantly, and whether that's advisory as part of a P3 contract or, like I was mentioning earlier, advisory into non-P3 world. How do other hospitals or how do other facilities capitalize on our experience?
Thanks. Anything to add to that, Jolene?
No, I think we're seeing a need to align the capital budgets and other overarching project goals with the overall goal to decarbonize buildings. And so trying to look at where the overlap lays between changing out different systems and how we can support our clients in planning that out a little bit better. I would say that's kind of another key priority on the corporate side.
That's good. You mentioned the corporate side. Let me take it to your corporate EllisDon. Where does this fit in the boardroom right now at the executive level? Where does, I guess, sustainability has been there for some time, but particularly the climate crisis, climate change, where do those belong within your policy, within your mission, within the declared values, with how you position yourself with respect to your huge workforce that works for EllisDon, but also within the marketplace? You've mentioned before, Jolene, your value chain, your supply chain. Where's corporate EllisDon's head at around climate change right now?
Yeah, we've committed to the Science-Based Targets Initiative, and we see that as a really important mandate because it provides some clarity, some accountability, and some transparency in what we're trying to do and how it aligns with what the rest of the market and globally what we need to do. Our CEO, Jeff Smith, is very much behind and has been driving us to commit to something like this for quite a while. And the entire C-suite is also very supportive of this goal. But the key of our science-based targets is we knew we couldn't just commit ourselves and our own actions to this. What we've learned is, the emissions we have direct control over is only a little over 1% of the total emissions pie when you consider our entire value chain. And so looking at the materials we purchase to build the critical infrastructure across Canada, as well as the operating emissions of all the buildings that we construct, they become almost 50% each of our overall emissions. And so without action in those two key areas, we won't actually hit the climate targets that we need to. So as a company, we've been working with our supply chain, with our contracting partners, with our design partners to try and implement different solutions across various projects that will allow us to reduce emissions. We have a really deep R&D team that has extensive knowledge in the science of of concrete. And so they're working with all our structural engineers, as well as our concrete suppliers on a number of projects just to try to optimize mixes so that we can reduce those emissions. And then within those same projects, we're working with our mechanical and electrical designers, as well as the clients to say, okay, we want to hit a net zero target. This is what it means. Here's how we can design these systems efficiently. And so it really is more about what we can support the industry to do as opposed to just what we can do as a single entity.
I think the biggest thing at EllisDon, and Jolene touched on this, is the leadership at EllisDon, from the CEO, the whole C-suite and leadership group down, knows we're in a climate crisis. They understand that. We know it's something we can't resolve on our own, but as a company, we're gonna lead the pack on addressing it. We don't just have, Jolene, leads a sustainability group within EllisDon, but sustainability is pushed throughout every service at EllisDon. And we're in a bit of a unique position, or I am, like on the facility side, because we're vertically integrated. So I have a construction team that builds a hospital or a facility that they're thinking about sustainability for us later on, how we're going to run that building. Jolene mentioned our construction sciences team, who's working on solutions so the construction team can meet the targets that we're aiming. So we're in a very unique position, but I would say the drive and the conversation is from the leadership, and it's in everything we do. It's not just a tick box exercise where some group over here takes care of it. It's in everything that we do with everybody.
Yeah, so it's really embedded in the culture that people know that they're all part of it. Jolene, last word to you. Your thoughts about advice to others who are looking to emulate the kind of work that you're doing.
Yeah, I think one of the key values at EllisDon is just building great relationships and working well with the people that we do work with. And so the way I've seen it is we've been able to leverage those relationships and really build out the effort through the value chain. And so anybody who's kind of in a similar position or trying to get into a similar position, I would say start to talk to others in your network, others in your organization, others in your partnership space, and just learn what they're doing and see what you can do together. We've got a lot of, even our subcontractors, Modern Niagara, Northland Group, there's a Lafarge, a number of them that are all working towards the same kind of net zero goals. And so if we do it together, we're going to get a lot farther than if we just try to push our own agenda and ignore everybody else's effort. And we really do need to work together in order to solve the climate crisis.